Happy Friday. Woohoo! It is the weekend. Welcome to Expanding Your Search and Shopping for Directions. Hi, everybody. It's Brent Bailey, and it is another great day to be alive. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Hey, listen, if you aren't, at least the end of the day is almost here, and you can sail right into the weekend. We are so excited to be with you today. Got a great show planned for you today. I got a fella on the show who I've known since he was born, and I'm real excited to have Blake Hagin. We're going to be talking about expanding a second chance, and that's what you want to tune in for today. We would love it if you would drop down below the comments here and share the podcast wherever you are. As many people as follow you, let them know that the podcast is on right now. Blake's going to be coming on here in just a few minutes to talk about his story, which is a true story of redemption and second chances, and we can't wait to get him out here. So, with that being said, how about if we get this show started today? Would that be all right?
Let's do this.
All right. I'm joined right now over at the tech booth by Jody and by Luke. And, guys, I hope you're having a good day so far. It is a good day here in the studio, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It's a nice energy in the studio, isn't there? It's
yeah.
We prayed and asked God to do the show with us today.
Yeah.
That's the first time we asked him to do the show with us. So
But it's actually a nice day outside.
It is. It is a nice day.
Thank God.
I was awoken.
Awakened.
Your King James version.
I was
woke
asleep and something woke me up this morning. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
We got a new roof a few weeks ago here at our a new home, and the roofer, being a man of integrity, really, he said it's not the right color. It doesn't match any of the other houses like it's supposed to. You know, the HO is very picky about that. So we're going to tear this one off and put a new one on. And so I'm laying there dead asleep. It's right before 7 this morning, getting ready. I was going to wake up anyway, but boom! And I literally, exactly your response right there.
Yeah, because that was like
I came off the bed thinking that the world was ending. So, but it's, it was a blessing.
Yeah.
So, anyway. There's lots of things happening in the world today. Let's jump into those real quick before we get into the rest of the podcast.
Well, so today,
it's a big day.
It is. There's a lot of things, a lot of national days.
Yeah, but
this
one's kind of special.
In the tradition of this podcast,
which we love to talk about food.
Yes.
We do. Yeah, National Cheeseburger Day.
Yes, it is.
Cheeseburger.
National Cheeseburger Day, and I know some folks make fun of us because all we do is talk about food on here.
I know, and you really, honestly, you think that we go and eat all this food we talk about, and
it's so funny. Tonight we're going to Epcot, and I think Food and Wine is going on over there.
I'm hoping now
you can sit and have whatever kind of thought you want to have right now.
Yeah.
The food is amazing.
It is amazing.
Whether you drink or you don't, social drink or not, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the fact that you can literally eat your way around the world.
You really can. Yeah.
At Epcot tonight.
Yeah.
And it's for a month long, I think.
I think so.
And it's like $70 extra, and it's as much as you can eat.
Yeah, it is.
You can get it.
You can get it your ticket.
You can, yeah.
And then pay the extra, and you get it everywhere.
Yes.
Every one of the booths.
As much as you
want. You stop in there as many times as you want and show their little.
No, I mean, if you've got a ticket to the park or a pass.
But you can buy like a food and wine pass.
Now,
you pay.
You can pay for the food and wine.
Yeah.
Because most people are going to drop that kind of money anyway going around. Because it's smaller portions. Whatever you get there is smaller. But if you pay I think it's $70. You can get as much sample or smaller. You have to go through line again.
You do,
but you don't have to pay.
That's a good deal.
All the way
around.
Very
good deal.
If you've ever been to the food and wine, if you've ever eaten the food at Epcot Center, it's amazing anyway.
Yeah.
That's the best food at Disney, and you can go to all the different countries and get the where they're want you to sample the food.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is the beer cheese soup in Canada.
Canada, yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Do they have a cart for that?
It is part of the.
It is part of.
Yeah, that's where I actually.
You don't
first,
have to actually have.
I first tried it there, so.
Yeah,
it's
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the free cheeseburger thing.
Free cheeseburgers,
because it's
buy one get one free, or half off, or
tons
discounted.
of restaurants
Lots
that you
of them,
eat
yeah.
you eat at anyway are giving away specials today.
They are.
In honor of Cheeseburger Day.
Lots of ones.
Couple of those.
Great ones.
Yeah, Applebee's, BurgerFi, Burger King, Farmer Boys. I've never heard of that.
I have never heard of Farmer Boys.
But that's one of the ones on the list. Is Friendlies. We have a Friendlies here in Orlando. It's pretty good. They got really good milkshakes. Habit Burger Grill. Don't know them.
No.
Jack in the Box.
I love.
Don't have that here.
No, we don't.
We don't, and it's.
I wish we did.
I'm kind of glad we don't.
No, I'm kind of glad we don't.
I'm only preferential to one thing there, and there's.
Wait, what's your Jack in the Box order then?
Tacos?
They
so
are good.
bad.
They are.
They're so
No.
They are bad.
Anyway,
they're probably bad for you. But
Jack in
anyway.
the Box is if you buy anything through their app, you get a free cheeseburger from now till Sunday.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So Jack in the Box is probably the better deal. McDonald's is also having double cheeseburger for 50 cents.
Wow.
Ooh. Miller's Ale House. That's not everywhere. We have those here in Orlando. Classic cheeseburger and a side of fries for $5.
That's great.
That's pretty good.
Unbelievable. Mooyah, don't know them.
And there's one in Orlando.
A Mooyah?
Yeah, according to the website.
Mooyah!
I have no idea. We've never.
Yeah, who knows where it is?
Right.
Anyway,
But their burger
O'Charlie's,
looks so good.
Red Robin, Ruby Tuesdays, Smash Burger, Steak and Shake. All these people should be sponsoring the show. Wayback
Absolutely.
Burgers, Wendy's, Whataburger, and White Castle all have big specials on their cheeseburgers.
Did you mention
today.
In-N-Out?
It's not on the list.
They don't have. Come on, In-N-Out.
Whataburger's another one I'm surprised we don't have here.
Yeah.
They're really popular in Oklahoma and Texas.
They are.
So
Yeah.
in the Midwest. Speaking of cheeseburgers, I did see where there is a crowd voting of the best cheeseburgers in the fast food market.
Okay.
No surprise, In-N-Out's double won.
Yeah.
They were number one.
Glory.
But
Best
listen to
burger.
this, because Five Guys has got to be proud because number 2, 3, 4, all were all Five Guys burgers. There was the Five Guys bacon cheeseburger was number 2. Five Guys hamburger was number 3. The Five Guys cheeseburger was number 4, and then the number 5 cheeseburger of the day, Whataburger's original Whataburger.
So what's out of like a drive-through fast food?
That's
what's
it.
Yeah, but Five Guys doesn't have a drive-through.
That's true. They don't have.
I'm just
but
saying,
they are
out,
fast food.
out of like a drive-through fast food, what's your favorite?
It's In-N-Out. It's hands down.
It's not even
In-N-Out.
here though.
East Coast.
No,
it doesn't
but it
matter
doesn't
until when
matter.
you have one, your life changes. I'm not joking, and I know there's a lot of
Yeah.
folks listening to us in Oklahoma today that have traveled to the West Coast. They'll tell you.
But isn't there one in Texas? There's one in Texas.
There is in Dallas. People will
Dallas,
actually
yeah.
spend the day and drive to Dallas because there's 5 of them in
I
Dallas.
would do it if we lived there still. Yeah.
I'll just go to
In-N-Out.
Wendy's.
Have you ever had an In-N-Out
Oh,
burger?
No.
good
That's
grief,
why you're
no.
saying that.
Yeah. In-N-Out.
I'm not
burger
gonna
is
drive.
awesome.
I'm not gonna drive 6 hours for a burger. That's a
No,
12-hour
it's
day.
worth it.
It's only
Well, you'll spend about
3
30
to
minutes
4
in line.
hours if you drove from Tulsa. Anyway, all right. Moving on, our cholesterol's all shot up
Yeah.
about
Just from
1,200
My
talking
blood
about
pressure
it.
went up.
So it's free
So good,
cheeseburger day or happy cheeseburger day. What else is happening today?
We have, there are a lot of other things, but National Prisoner of War and Missing in Action Recognition Day. That is something that, we haven't experienced ourselves. As far as family members, but there are a lot of families that have had experienced that.
That's right. And we do know a lot of folks that have served in the military
Exactly.
that maybe even know somebody who was killed in action or whatever. And so, of course, we take that time to recognize those folks, and our hearts and prayers go out to their families. So here's something really interesting that as we were getting ready for the show, we discovered this. How many of you grew up watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Definitely.
Come on.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was shooting
Big
some
time.
b-ball
Right.
outside.
Yeah.
And a couple of thugs that were up with no good started
Started
making
making trouble in my
In my
neighborhood.
neighborhood.
Yeah, my mom got scared.
Yeah.
Anyway, Will Smith, who played the Fresh Prince, and his buddy Jazzy Jeff, are actually, they've purchased the mansion from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and are actually renting it out as an Airbnb for $30 a person per night.
That's not bad, though. That's not a bad deal. To get to stay in that iconic of a place.
Does it really look like that inside, though? I doubt it.
They showed pictures, yeah.
Does it?
They like made the rooms to like look certain
I know
ways.
that's very popular
really cool
right now. I saw that they did that to the Brady Bunch house. They went into, because it didn't look anything like that. They went in and actually used the surviving Brady kids to do the remodel.
Right.
It's like a do-it-yourself network show.
Yeah, it was.
And they made it look. They had to remodel it majorly to make it look like it. So if it really does look like that, that'd be kind of cool.
Another thing that's going on, the console wars are going on pretty hardcore right now.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I saw that
Xbox and PlayStation.
Xbox S is going to be dropped in November. It's all digital version of the Xbox X, which is coming out around Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it was a little cheaper. It was going to be about $100 to $299 or something like that. But then PlayStation announced today.
Yeah.
Or when was that?
It was a couple days ago or yesterday. But they were doing pre-orders, and they sold out in like 30 minutes.
Of the full version, right?
The full version. Right?
I think
it wasn't
all of
them.
Everything that they put out sold out.
So that means Peyton's going to be really mad because at Christmas, that's what he was expecting. He sold his PlayStation 4.
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean they can't make any more.
That's true.
They will.
That's true.
But the graphics look amazing.
They do. So, parents and grandparents that are thinking about buying PlayStation and Xboxes, you better get on it because there's going to be a shortage of them.
It's going to be a really hot item this year.
It is.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's get to our guest today. Man, I've known this fella since he was a youngster. I remember when we moved to Tulsa to go to work for his family. I was sitting on the pool deck at his parents' house, and he was maybe 3 or 4 years old, just a little guy. And he came and he sat down in the chair next to me, and I was like, "Aw, so sweet, so nice." And he handed me these little flippers that were, just little small kid flippers because he had his life jacket on. He was going to go jump in and he wanted to put his flippers on. And he said, "Hey, will you help me?" And I said, "Sure." So I'm putting them on, and he looks at me and he says, "You're a pretty big guy." And I'm like, yeah, I am kind of a big guy. Then he sits back in his chair and he pats his tummy and he goes, "Fat."
Hey, I want to thank him before he comes on the show. He prepared me to be able to raise boys. Because I remember that day, he and his brothers were climbing up the slide, and I was like freaking out.
No chaperoning.
No,
around
I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, somebody is going to die.
It's not like.
Somebody is going to fall and crack their head.
Let me rephrase that because it's not like we weren't all there. But
no, we were all there.
But they just went right up the sliding board and were standing up on the top, no hands.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking, we don't have kids yet, but.
That was the day the seeds got planted, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have him, man. His family means the world to us, and I'm so super proud of him because he's gone through some really hard times lately and has rebounded beautifully. And I want you to welcome to the program today, Blake Hagin. He's not young anymore. Look at that big stud, the guy there, man. He's not that little guy anymore. Buddy, how are you? How you been?
I'm good. How are you, Brent?
I'm real good. I'm so super excited to have you. I was so glad that you said yes. Before we get into everything, how's COVID been treating everybody there in Tulsa? How's everything going?
COVID's not as strict as it is. I've traveled a little bit, other states, but COVID here isn't as big of a deal as it is, across the nation. Obviously, it's a very real thing, and we're taking precautions, but I've been to Texas, I've been to Alabama, I've been to Florida. Compared to, those states, it's not as serious here.
Yeah.
It's not taken lightly, but it's not as strict of enforcement.
Now, you were interrupted in your school last year. I know you're a student at Raymond now, so
yeah.
That got interrupted and kind of threw some things for a loop last year, right?
Well, actually, I had planned on taking that semester off. I followed the voice of God in my life. Actually, I planned on taking that. I started in the spring. So I started first year in spring in January when I came home. And I planned on taking a semester off so I could start in the fall. whenever I'm really supposed to start my second year. So I actually already planned on taking that semester
Now,
off, and I'm glad I did.
To hear you talk like that, some of the folks, I know we got a lot of folks that are Rhema graduates and affiliated with your family's ministry watching and listening today. Some people go, what do you mean take a semester off? That is something that's so new and weird and unusual, but it's the new way of doing things there, that you can start in the spring and take. That's so cool. So, Blake, man, first of all, watching you grow up, like Jody said, you and your brothers were kind of help preparing us to have boys ourselves. Yeah. And I know that, growing up, you were always into sports and really involved in a lot of things. Just talk a little bit about growing up there in Tulsa. What was it like? I know, you had a big shadow that was cast over you from your family, but what was it like growing up?
I mean, we were normal kids, obviously. Yeah. Like, we were just crazy little kids, and we didn't know that our great-grandfather or grandpa was somewhat of a famous minister, So we just grew up normal. They were our papa, or my poppies, I call my grandpa now, and they're just normal guys to us. So, just like a normal grandpa, they weren't any different. Yeah. We just grew up as, normal, crazy, young kids, and growing up, just me and my brothers. Obviously, you guys remember us. We were just normal little kids, and we did crazy stuff like normal kids did.
So you grow up and you start really making some plans for the future. I remember you were going to join the Marines, and you were starting down the path where you were just starting to make a decision about your career, but things weren't as rosy as everybody kind of thought during that time, was it?
Yeah. So growing up, I was kind of the black sheep of my family, really, in a way where I was very, open-minded and experimental to go out into the world and try things on my own, and try to kind of getting away from God, and, just experimenting and getting around the wrong crowd necessarily. And I got involved in drugs at an early age. And then, I kind of got caught up in a drug addiction throughout high school, and actually just started selling drugs in high school. And I was just living my life, just completely cut God out of my life. Just probably around 16, 17 years old, stopped going to church, cut my family out. And around that time, I had no direction, no sense of direction. I had no God in my life. I believed in God, but I didn't want to be a Christian necessarily, or go to church or do things that a Christian would do. And so I was looking for a sense of direction, and a sense of trying to get away from my addiction and trying to get away from my problems. And that's when I decided I was going to join the Marines and try to be a Marine to actually escape from my problems. And I felt like it was some sense of structure in my life. And so I decided, hey, this is probably my best option. Go to the Marines, get away from, negative people around here. That's not Christian people, but people who, were of the world and pulling me into my addiction. So that was kind of my escape, was try to enlist in the Marines.
So when you're there and you're making these kind of decisions, what, if you can remember, what do you think it was that maybe kind of pushed God away? Was it the fact of living right, or was it this? Do you even know? Why did you push God out of your life?
Honestly, I just saw so many, not necessarily like hypocrites, but people who said they were Christians. They went to church, they did all these things, and they put on this front, that they were perfect. And whenever you got to know them, they were just as mean as people in the world. They would backstab people. They would, just say hurtful things, and they weren't walking in love, as it talks about in the Bible. And that kind of pushed me away from, being a Christian, or trying to put on a front, or trying to act like somebody that I wasn't. I wanted something that was real. I wanted something that, if you said you were something, that you acted on it, and you lived by His word. And I saw a lot of that, and I saw a lot of the judgmental people, it kind of pushed me away at an early age. And my parents got divorced when I was young, 8, 9 years old. And that kind of had an impact on me. And it kind of,
Sure.
you know, I kind of had a split household. So I would go to my dad's house and the rules were different, because there were so many kids. My dad, he has 4 stepchildren. And then me and my brothers, we'd all get together. There was a whole lot of, it was just a whole different environment. And then we go to church with my dad at Rhema, obviously. And then we go to a different church with my mom. So I never got established really growing up. And, obviously I was going to Rhema because my family,
Sure.
My dad's side is, involved in Rhema, but I just never really found friends in the youth group. I remember when you were the youth pastor, but I could never really find a good set of friends to stick around to keep me established in the church and to keep me, going to church faithfully growing up.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. I know that I was a high school when you were starting to come up. I was on my way
Right.
out at that time. But I do remember when you did come up and you were coming around. It was we didn't see as regularly as we wanted to. So I
Right.
totally understand that and I get that part of it. Now let's get into the meat of it here. Now you made some bad decisions during these times
Right.
of addiction that
Yeah.
led to some pretty bad things.
Yeah. So during, probably I would say I always, struggle with marijuana, alcohol, at a young age, 12, 13 years old. I started really early, just getting around the wrong people. And I just, I think I was just trying to find myself and find my sense of direction in the wrong things and the things of this world. And so around that time, I just started with alcohol, marijuana, and it was an occasional thing. It wasn't all the time. And then around the time I started driving is really, 16 is when I really fell off and really, truly, completely cut God out. I mean, obviously, at that time, 12, 13 years old, I didn't have a choice to go to church or not, So if my parents were going to church, I was going to church.
Right.
And I think around 16 when I started driving, I kind of had that option if I wanted to go to youth group or not. And so I just got caught up with the wrong, even farther and farther spiraling into my addiction. And I got involved in pills. And that's where, pills and harder drugs is where my mind completely got altered. And I just started making terrible decisions, started hanging around even worse and worse people pulling me down. And it was around 17, like I said, I was selling drugs to fuel my addiction. And that's where, even farther and farther, that's where I completely just cut God out. I stopped going to church completely, started stealing from my family, just doing shady stuff, just stuff that I had no business doing. And it was just because, my mind was so altered and the
Sure.
devil had such a hold on my life from just doing these drugs and being around the people I was being around. Around 18, like I said, I, enlisted in the Marines, but I was trying to find a way out. I was still in my addiction. I was still, full force in my addiction, actually, even at the time of enlisting in the Marines. And I was just so ready to get to boot camp. I was 9 months. I had a 9-month deployed entry program. They call it the DEP program. So you had to wait till you go to boot camp. So I was just doing PT on Tuesdays and Thursdays and training to get ready to go to boot camp. And I was just so ready for that 9 months to happen just so I could get away. Because the farther and farther I got into it, I got into a relationship with a girl who brought me down even more. And she was actually, she pulled me down even more. I was already an addict, but she pulled me, full force into an addiction. And things went bad with that. And it was around 8 months in, I was 1 month away from going to boot camp. We actually, a hard breakup, it wasn't anything godly at all. She had never been to church. She didn't believe in God. And, I ended up catching her cheating on me at the time. And I just spiraled out of control right after that. we were at a party one night, and eventually saw we were selling drugs, and I had some guys that would, sell drugs for me, and they got robbed from this guy that I knew. So we retaliated and ended up, actually going and, basically doing a drive-by shooting. We shot his house up, and later on that night we got arrested. We actually got caught, and pretty really serious stuff, and that's whenever I knew that I already knew I needed to change, but that's really when it sunk in. What are you doing? What's going on? Why are you making these decisions? And I couldn't even remember what happened. I woke up in jail that night, and I had no idea where I was. I had no idea what happened, and then it wasn't until people told me what happened and I saw it on the news, and like I just had bits and pieces of what happened. I wasn't really exactly sure. It was kind of a blackout moment that night, from the drugs and from alcohol.
Yeah.
So I just had no control of my life. The devil had control of my life. The enemy, he was just controlling my decisions, my thought process, because I cut God out of my life completely.
Sure.
So if you cut God out of your life, the only thing that's going to be there to lead you and guide you is the enemy. All right. So, I got arrested, and basically that's how what went down.
So and so you brought up a lot here, and I know for time's sake we won't go into a lot of it, but I do want to say this: there's something to be said about people can grow up in the most normal of circumstances, or maybe some of the most caring families, and this kind of stuff still reaches in, doesn't it? It still gets past all of that, and it's really important to have a really good support system in place, because that's kind of what started to make the turn for you, was you realizing that you needed God in your life, and then your family just reached out and just loved you right through this whole thing.
Yeah, my family the whole time, they were nothing but trying to help me. I would just, like I said, I cut them out of my life so they couldn't reach to me. They would sit me down and have, they try to get me counseling, and it's not like my family didn't help, at all. They were nothing but trying to help me. Right. And it was just me making those decisions for myself, which eventually ended up in my arrest and, in my downfall. But there's always a comeback.
That's right, and that's where I was going to get to. You got arrested, you got put in jail, you have to stand before the judge, but in the midst of that, you got turned on to something called Adult Teen Challenge, and your life really started to make a big turnaround. Let's talk about that. How did you get turned on to that, and what exactly does that look like?
So Adult Teen Challenge, I'd never heard about it before. My grandpa has a friend, and when I was actually in the county jail in Tulsa County, this guy, he reached out to me and, reached out to my family and told them about this program. It was a year-long faith-based recovery center, basically is what the title of it would be. And it was in that program, I decided, my parents gave me an option. They would bomb me out if I would decide to go to this program. And, I knew I needed help, and so I wanted to get out of jail, obviously. So after about almost 30 days in jail, I was bonded out, and we made sure it was okay to go to. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so I went to San Antonio, which is where the program was. So we made sure that was okay with the judge. So I would just go back and forth court dates from San Antonio to Tulsa, and then back to this program. So I got to this program, and it was just a whole complete world change. These guys, the program's very strict in a good way. They teach discipline. They teach you the word. It's based on God. It's faith-based recovery program. They don't use a 12-step program like they do usually, in the world. They use, Jesus. The answer to solving your addiction problem is Jesus. And that's true. That's really the only way. If somebody's really, been an addict for a long time, Jesus is really the only way they can get out with, and they got to want to change for themselves. And it was probably about 3 months into the program is when I decided, I had a mentor there, and he was kind of guiding me through. And 3 months in, I gave my life to Christ, rededicated my life, was baptized there at this camp. And that's when I just came up and I just felt like a complete new person. I had a new mindset, just completely shook me, from just in my heart. I just knew that something was different.
Yeah.
And then I just kept on, progressing and progressing towards it. It wasn't, I could feel my heart change, but it wasn't, I had to work for it.
Sure.
I had to keep on striving daily. But Teen Challenge was the foundation, that got me in the right foundation to, live where I'm at today, is what brought me to where I'm at today, is what I'm trying to say.
And you just said a very important word. That word is foundation, that you put something in place. And that was some folks will be skeptical about, jailhouse salvation and things like that. But it wasn't just a get out of jail free card or anything like that. It was something that was literally placed in there that you were able to build yourself on from there forward.
Right.
And actually that's what helped you get through, because you did spend some time in real jail.
Yeah.
After that.
Right. Yeah, I did spend time in prison. I actually was sentenced to 8 years in prison. I did 9 months in this program, Teen Challenge, Adult Teen Challenge, but I was sentenced, and I did get sentenced to 8 years in prison. And the judge actually gave me what they call a 1-year judicial review, because of our age and because we had no criminal history, no background. I mean, we were 19. These guys are 18 years old. They were still in high school. I was just out of high school. So he kind of gave us a chance. He told us when he sentenced us, I'm going to give you a chance to come back. And based on he's going to evaluate how we did in prison and how, what we did with our time in prison and our conduct in prison. So he gave that to us, just based on our age and based on we had no criminal background. And that's where, eventually I was led to, after my 1 year in prison, basically to the date, he told us, that he was going to put us on what they call supervised probation. Mm-hmm. So I have a probation officer, and he's making sure that, I'm still staying clear, staying in good conduct, and staying clean from drugs.
Yeah. Okay. So this foundation gets placed into your life. You go through your prison stint, and you get out. You're allowed to get out on probation, but then you didn't just take this second chance and go, okay, I'm out now. I can go back and do whatever I do. You actually started applying and building on this foundation. And man, what's going on in your life now is amazing. So you came out and you went right straight into Rhema, right? And started playing basketball?
Right. I forgot to mention, so when I was in prison, there was a program that was affiliated with the Adult and Teen Challenge in the prison system, which is actually, it's called Freedom Challenge. And there's only 2 in the United States. And the program started 8 months before I was sentenced to prison. And it was completely new for the prison system. So I got involved in that. I had the program director from Adult and Teen Challenge in San Antonio contact Freedom Challenge, and they got me in. They had a 9-month-long waiting list and got me in within a month when I was in prison. So I was still staying on that foundation of Teen Challenge and being around like-minded people who wanted to change, which helped me a lot. But so you talked about Rhema.
Yeah, you got out of school and got out of prison, sorry, and you didn't do what so many folks do that have the jailhouse salvation. Yours was a real heart change, and you really decided to build on that. So then you went to Rhema, and you've been doing it. You started your own business. I mean, I don't want to give it all away, but man, you really got some good things going.
Yeah. Whenever I was in county jail waiting my sentencing, I felt led by God. He was, through the Holy Spirit, he was saying on the inside, Rhema, and I didn't want to go to Rhema. I never had wanted to go to Rhema, but I knew that meant to go to school at Rhema, whenever it was the day I got out. I didn't know at that time, but I knew whenever I got out that, I just had just a just a peace about it whenever, you know, I knew that that's what I was supposed to do. Cause before I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, when I got out, where do I go? What do I do? How do I get a job? You know, and I knew that God was dealing with me to go into ministry. You know, I've known that since I was a young kid. I think that's another reason I ran away from God, because I didn't want to deal with all the, you know, the negative sides of ministry.
Yeah.
And I knew without a doubt that I was supposed to go to Rhema. And, you know, as soon as I got out, within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was in school in Rhema, thank God.
Yeah.
And I actually got on the basketball team. I think 3 days after I got out of prison, went to a basketball practice, and I was just, the guys there were, you know, they were cool. They weren't judgmental. You know, I just felt like everything, and I still do feel like I'm living in God's will for my life.
Yeah.
And right now, I just got married.
That's what I was going to say. The next thing, you start your own business. You got married. You got a great life, and now you're traveling and ministering. And
yeah.
Man, what a great redemption story that is.
Yeah. God, if you get a hold of God's word and get a hold, you know, of who you are in Christ, no matter what you've done, you know, and you set your foundation, like I said, on his word and who you are through Christ, you know, he can change whoever it is. He changed me. If he can change me, he can change anybody. Without a doubt, I believe that.
This is Blake Hagin, and man, there's so much more to the story. I listened to you when you were speaking in Alabama. I listened to the whole service, and I know that if we had the time, we could tell everything in great detail. But the key is you went from the darkest of the dark to the place that God's got you at right now, and this is just the beginning. What are you, 22 years old now? And
yeah, 22.
Yeah, 22, and you're just getting started in ministry. And I just want to say, we're looking forward to hearing much more great things from you and from Hannah as a team going out there and doing some great things together.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for what God's got in store for us, and I appreciate you having me on the podcast today. It's been an honor.
Man,
it's good to see you, Brent.
Blake, it's always great to see you too. And folks, if you would like to contact Blake via social media or anything like that, right there it is on Instagram at Blake Hagin. On Facebook, he's at Blake Hagin 12. I'm sure you can get a hold of him through the rhema.org website. Listen, I watched him give his first public speaking at a youth event down in Alabama. And as an old youth pastor, and was a youth pastor there for his grandparents and his mom and dad, I want to say this: if you're looking for a great youth speaker who's got real life experience to come to your event, I would highly recommend this young fella right here, because he's definitely just getting started, but his message is really going to impact a lot of people. And then, of course, you know the foundation that he's built his life on. And so, Blake, I'm so super proud of you, man, and I'm just so happy to see what God's doing for you and in you. And congratulations on the business, congratulations on your wife, congratulations on the freedom, man. I'm just super proud of you all the way around, and I just can't wait to hear more great things.
Thanks, Brent. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, that's Blake Hagin. Man, give him a shout, reach out, and have him come to your youth event and be inspired. If God can reach down and touch a young man's heart like that, man, everybody is open to it. So, Blake, thanks again. Have a great rest of your day. Tell everybody there, your grandparents, your parents, everybody I said hi, and we love them, and tell your brothers too. All right. I don't know if he heard me there at the end or not. But anyway, that's Blake Hagin. And, folks, I'm telling you, he's got a great story of redemption. Reach out and contact him. All right. Coming up Monday on the program, we are continuing along the lines of great shows. This Monday, I've got New York Times best-selling author Ken Abraham. And you think, man, that name sounds familiar. Ken Abraham has written over 12 million selling copies of books, including the famous Let's Roll. He also wrote Payne Stewart's autobiography, or biography, along with Payne's wife, and many other big-time famous books. He's going to be on the program on Monday, so you'll want to join me then. Thank you so much for sticking with us today. I know we went over a little bit of time, but as you could tell, that story needed to be told and it needs to be out there. Once again, that's Blake Hagin. If you would like to reach out to him, do it. We'll have his information back up at the end of the show. For Jody and for Luke, I hope you found what you were looking for today as you took the time to expand your search and stop for directions. Have a great day, everybody.